Alright, so in this lesson we are going to see how we can extract data from a web page using code. Specifically, we will use PHP, which is my language of choice, but what we're going to do is very basic, and it's something that any programming language is capable of doing. So whatever programming language you want to use, you should be able to do this. What we're going to do is scraping the DOM of this web page that I created, this test page that lives at learn.microbean.com/test. And basically, what we're going to do is scraping the DOM. So scraping the DOM, if you don't remember from the previous lesson, it's basically getting the HTML elements generated by the server so that your browser can read them and return to you a nice formatted page. And so we are going to scrape the DOM. What we are looking to do exactly is getting this string here, data extraction method, which is the title, and I want to get only that text. So if we were to scrape this page, how would I do it? So with PHP, it's really simple. So the first thing I will do is create a C URL request. So this is a basically GET request that mimics basically a page request that your browser would do it. Well, not entirely, but in the most basic form, let's say, and it returns the HTML that makes up the page, right? So here I specified the URL that I want to get, which is learn.microbean.com/test, and I also specified all these flags. So the return transfer basically means I want to see the code of the web page. You have to return to me that. And these other flags are because sometimes you get error regarding SSL, which is which is an encryption that gets used between servers and between the server and the client. And so I don't want to get alerts related to those, so I basically set that to false. Then the encoding I set to gzip deflate, and this is just to have a response that is the smallest that we can have, because obviously when you do this at scale, every byte matters. So this is something that I do. It's basically using compression. And the user agent is basically, we are saying, hey, we are using I think it's Chrome on Mac here, and the user agent is basically a string that identifies a browser. So we are saying to the server, hey, we are using this browser here. And then connect timeout and timeout are just two other flags that I set to 0, which means I don't care how long it will take to connect. Let's do it, basically. And then I'm saving everything to a variable called HTML. So that's what I'm doing there, and then I'm echoing, which means I'm printing to the screen everything. So if we run this, we are going to get exactly the HTML that makes up the page. Now remember, what I want to get is just the title, data extraction method. So to do that, I'm gonna copy the tag, right? So this is the tag. By the way, a lot of you have been asking what my code editor is. I use Sublime Text. You can find that at Sublime Text. Just search Google. And you also have been asking if I use some kind of special terminal. Yes, I do. I use my.sh, but you can absolutely use a very basic terminal like this one that I have on my left here. So the next thing we're gonna do, different ways that we can do this. One is using regex. So regex, if you don't know what they are, is basically regular expression. This is the name of what they are called, and it's basically pattern matching. So you give the program a pattern, and the program will run it against the HTML or the text or whatever you want. So in this case, we are going to run it against the HTML. So what we're going to do is using drag match. And I'm saving, well, no, I'm not saving anything. So the pattern in questions, again, we are trying to get this. So I'm going to use this. And we want to get this string here, data extraction methods. And so we are going to say there's something between the h1 opening tag and the h1 closing tag that we need to take. So how you do that with regular expression in the most broad way is using this pattern here. This is telling there's something here. I want that to be returned. In regular expressions, all the things that you put between parentheses, at least in PHP, are basically the subject or your investigation. And so this is the pattern that we want to find. The other thing I need to do here is escaping the slashes, because slashes are are special characters in PHP. So to escape the slash here, I will use this other type of slash, and then I want to say, hey, you need to find this in the HTML variable because we have this here, and then give me an array of matches. So that's our drag match there. That's our regular expression. And next, what we're gonna do is just print the array so that is readable, and we can see what we have. The next thing I'm gonna do is also comment this line here so we don't get the HTML return again. So now when I run this, I have, actually let me clear this and do it again just to be sure. Yes, we have an array, and in this array, as you can see, the first match is the all the tag itself, and then the second match is the data extraction methods, which is the line that we want to extract, right? So and by the way, arrays usually start with 0, so the first element is actually number 0 in the array. So basically I did it, and basically we can say my line that I need to find. So let's call it line equals matches 1, and then I'm echoing the line. So what I'm telling the program here is basically my line that I want, it's this one, matches, which is array number 1, which is the string in the array that we want to get. And so now we are going to run this, and as you can see, it returns data extraction methods. So that's one way that you can do this with code. The other way is, so I'm going to delete this now. Actually, no, let me comment this, because I'm going to include it, all of this code in the comments in the lesson notes. So let me actually put this a little bit better and comment everything. Okay, here we are getting the HTML of the page. Here we this is the thing that we want to find. What we want to find is data extraction method. So we're getting the HTML of the page, and here we are using regular expression. So using regular expression, to get what we need to find, right? So this is one way. The other way is using DOM parsing, and so PHP actually has some methods that you can use for DOM parsing. We're gonna use that now. So the first thing to do is creating a variable. We're gonna call that doc that is equal to new DOM document, right? Then we're gonna create we're gonna basically assign to this variable we're gonna assign load HTML, and then we're gonna assign the HTML variable. All right. So until now, we basically create a new variable that is basically this is basically an instance of this method called DOM document, and we are loading the HTML in this variable. So the HTML again, it's what we have returned from our call here. So next, what we're gonna go with is actually getting elements by tag name. So again, if we echo the HTML, this is what the page returns. What we need to find is an h1. An h1 is a header one, and in the header one, basically we need to find data extraction method, which is the text content. So what we need to do here is basically define that. So yeah, call h1 tags equals dot get elements by tag name, and then we're gonna say h1. So here we are telling the program to return all the h1 tags to us. Then what we are gonna do is cycle through each one of the h1 tags. So we're gonna do a for each cycle. We're gonna say for each h1 tags as h1 tag. All right, for each h1 tag as h1 tag, we're gonna say, because we want to be really sure that this is the one that we want, and it's not the case for this page because obviously there's only one h1 tag, so we can be sure that the one that we get is the one that we want. But let's say that there were 100 h1 tags. One thing that you can do is be really sure with the classes. So we're gonna get the attribute of the h1 class, h1 tag called class. So what we're gonna do is h1 class equals h1 tag get attribute of get attribute called class, right? So now we are getting the class of each h1 tag in the document. Now what we're gonna do is making sure that we have this specific class. So title is 1. So we're gonna do a strip post. So if strip post h1 class title is 1, I think it is, yes, doesn't equal false. And strip post is basically a method that says if this variable contains this text, then do something. That's what we are doing here. It's not equals true. It's always I put it doesn't have to equal false because strip post is a little bit of a weird function. It needs to match against false always. You cannot set strip post to match against a true return. So what we're gonna do here is actually, if we have this class here, this specific class, we're gonna take what's inside the h1. So what we're gonna do is, again, line equals h1 tag, sorry, text content. So that tells me, tells the program, get me what's inside the h1. So again, to repeat this whole section, we created a new, well, first thing first, we made a request to the page, and then we have some HTML. Then we load the HTML into a variable that is an instance of a special method called DOM document. Then we tell the program to find us all the h1 tags that are in the page. Then we tell, for each one of the h1 tags that you found, take the class and make sure that the class is title and contains title and contains is1. And if so, then my line, so what I need to find, is equal to what's inside the h1. That's what we are telling the program to do. And so finally, we are going to echo the line. So this is the second method that you can use. Let's clear this and run the program again. And as you can see, it returns data extraction method, which is the line that we want to find. So again, these are two of the methods that you can use with PHP to extrapolate data, extract data from web pages. Again, you have to make a request, and then you can use regular expressions, or you can use DOM parsing to get what we need to find. Alright, so I hope you appreciate this video. I will include the code, the complete code in the lesson notes. And in the next session, we are going to see how to do the same thing, or even better, without code. And I know a lot of you are excited about that because they are non-technical. So let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this lesson, and also any questions you might have. I'm more than happy to answer. Thank you.